Are gun owners safer than non-gun owners? Big wins for the Second Amendment in 2025. And Democrat Governor Kathy Hochul blocks Trump's no tax on tips policy for New Yorkers. This is The Loaded Mic, and I'm Dan Wass. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, there are currently about 340 million people living in America. And according to the Federal Bureau of Investigations, in 2024, there was an estimated 1.2 million violent crimes reported nationwide. Now, these crimes include murder, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault. Now, this number comes from the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Program, which is often considered the official source for crime data in the U.S. So let's do the math. Given a U.S. population of 340 million and 1.2 million reported violent crimes per year, what are the chances that you'll become the victim of a violent crime? The odds of being the victim of a violent attack are about 0.36% chance per year, or roughly 1 in 278 chance every year. I don't know about you, but I don't like those odds. Now let's look at how many violent attacks are stopped by good citizens carrying a firearm in public. Now, these are called defensive gun uses, or DGUs. Now, the average being about 2.2 million defensive gun uses every year. This means 2.2 million times per year in America, good people stopped violent crimes and likely saved lives because they had a gun on them. And by the way, over 95% of the time, the trigger was never even pulled. In the vast majority of these DGUs, just the mere presence of a good gun scared off the bad guy. So let's take our 2.2 million defensive gun uses and put it up against the 1.2 million reported violent crimes. Violent crimes enacted, 1.2 million. And defensive gun uses, in other words, violent crimes stopped, is 2.2 million. What does this tell us? Well, it tells us that almost 2/3 of violent attacks in America are stopped because good people carry guns. There are about 180 defensive gun uses for every 100 reported violent crimes. So we're going to talk about this and many other things with his New Year's resolution is to have pleasant interactions with people on social media. John Chiara. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about, John. What do you think about defensive gun uses? Let's get started on that topic and let's kind of unfold it because I have the data here and the anti-gun crowd, they don't even ever talk about this stuff.
Ever.
Can't
even bring it up.
No. But think about it. You got 2.2 million defensive gun uses. Violent crimes are stopped because that's and you know the studies. We talk about the study. We talk about the CLEC study. We talk about the CDC study. We talk about the Georgetown University study. The average is about 2.2 million. And then you have 1.2 million violent crimes reported. It tells us that 2/3 of them are being stopped by good guys with guns.
I'm just wondering the violent crime stats.
Yeah.
Are they mostly in urban areas or?
That's a good point, and we should definitely talk about that because your odds of being the victim are about a 1 in 278 chance. But
overall, right?
Right. Yeah. So if you live in, let's say, the south side of Chicago, your odds are going to be likely a lot worse.
So really, probably in the places that have the stricter gun laws is the place that you should be able to carry because that's where you're more at risk than living on a farm somewhere, right?
That's exactly what we say all the time, and it's true because the stats actually show us that where there's more gun control laws, there's more violent crime.
Makes sense.
It's so ridiculous that we even have a conversation about this, but we have to because I just recently did a show, interview with Bill Kirk, my friend Bill Kirk from Washington Gun Law, and we try to talk about some of the psychology here. And I think the real thing that we need to keep talking about is the fact that regardless of the facts, regardless of the statistics, the anti-gun crowd still pushes for the same dangerous laws.
Right. It's a philosophy, right? They don't even think about whether it makes a difference or not. Well, it's another good example of not measuring anything. They totally disregard the results like we put out there all the time, over and over and over again, about how many defensive gun uses there are. But they don't really care about the individual safety, I don't think. So they just keep pushing the same things.
I've always looked at it and I've thought the same thing. They don't really care about it because they really just want to push more gun laws. They just want more guns. They wanted to they'd abolish the Second Amendment if they could. So not only that, I'm going to go one step further and say that they benefit and they use those deaths to push for gun laws.
Yep.
By ignoring the reality that it's the gun laws causing the problem, they get to use the so-called lack of gun laws as justification for more.
It's a total appeal to emotion, right? Oh, you have to feel bad about this. Look, we need more gun laws.
But nobody stops to question them and say, wait a minute, maybe the gun laws are the problem.
Yep.
If you've got 2.2 million people a year in America using a gun to stop a violent crime, but you want to eliminate the ability of those people to do that.
You don't care about those people. They care about the other people, I guess.
It's so crazy.
It's insane.
And we in the Second Amendment world, we understand this stuff and we look at it like, at first you look at this stuff like they just don't understand. Maybe they're not seeing something or they're not getting the information. But groups like Moms Demand Action, Every Town for Gun Safety, and Giffords and all those other groups, they study this stuff. They look at numbers and they know what's going on. They're not ignorant to it. I mean, they play ignorant, but they're really not. They understand. They've seen the studies. And all of the studies that we show them, all the facts that we show them, they have groups like the Gun Violence Archive, this guy, Mark Bryant, I think his name is. They have groups like that creating counter studies, studies that will take different portions of the population or recalculate things in a different way. So they have statistics that counter our statistics.
Sure.
It's crazy.
Statistics lie normally, right? If you want to make them lie.
Yeah. It's like, why don't you just use the FBI studies? Why don't you just use the data? Why don't you use the CDC defensive gun use study? These should be credible to everybody.
Well, it's the same with climate science. It's the same with a lot of these things, is that the narrative is all that matters, it seems, right? You can show them as much information from places that under normal circumstances, they would consider those sources credible sources.
Right.
For other reasons, they probably even quote the same studies and things. Right?
CDC with COVID, right? They love the CDC, right? Oh, God. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, but I mean, I think we're beginning to see with a lot of things that are coming to light just in the past couple of days overall that there's so much fraud and corruption and so much agenda going on that it's just, you can't believe anybody anymore, that they're actually caring about human beings. Well, like we say, with the defensive gun uses, obviously, if people are able to defend themselves, they're better off objectively than not being able to defend themselves, at least having the choice to do so. So why would you want to take that choice away? Like, where is that in the Bill of Rights? Where is all this stuff is almost, it's anti-individual liberty right down to the basics, and it's so frustrating.
Okay, without being biased, because I am obviously pro-Second Amendment, answer that question. Answer the question that you just asked. Why would you want to take that away? We're not biased here right now. We're going to look at this like totally factual. If the gun law gun-free zone or whatever, has proven to at least aid in death, why wouldn't you do something about it? Now, you're non-biased when you answer this question.
I don't really have an answer.
Well, there's got to be a benefit, right?
There's got to be a benefit. And it's got to be an agenda benefit, right? Because it's helping someone do something somewhere or get money somewhere or get votes, probably more than other things. Again, all back to the appeal to emotion thing. If, we want to make your kids safer, so we're going to pass lots of gun laws so people can't have guns, which on the surface sounds, that's great, right? No, it's not great because it doesn't work that way. It's actually completely the opposite, but
it is completely the opposite. But the narrative is so strong in the other direction that to come out and say, for people like us to come out and say, the gun laws are the problems. We have too many gun laws and not enough guns in the hands of good people. To come out and say that in public, a vast majority of public has been conditioned and trained to see that as crazy.
Right.
Because the narrative so long, over decades, has told them that, gun laws, we need more, to solve the problem, right?
Well, again, and that follows a theme with that narrative. It's the same kind of thing as like assuming that more government regulation to protect us from ourselves is a good thing. Like, look at the fires in L.A. How many houses are being rebuilt out there?
Nothing,
Almost nothing. Why? Because there's so many regulations about all this stuff that's going on so now all those people that lost all that stuff have basically no recourse. But somebody doesn't care about those people. They care about something else. And I think it's that something else that we're always getting at. Like, what is that narrative running in the background that makes these people ignore outcomes, ignore measurable results, and still say, but no, we have to do more of that. It's like the old communism argument. Well, we just haven't tried it. We haven't done it right. We need to do more of it so then we can see how it's going to work out. Got to pass that bill to find out what's in it. It's a really weird perspective on life.
It is. And I want to talk about COVID with what you just said, kind of bouncing off that, but I want to get to one of our sponsors real quick. You know who's fighting for your gun rights? Gun Owners of America. Now, GOA is the No Compromise Gun Rights Group, so I urge you to become a member at gunowners.org. What have they done? Well, GOA secured a preliminary injunction against the ATF pistol brace rule. GOA members submitted a record 85,000 plus comments opposing the ATF's universal registration check rule. They helped enact permitless carry in Nebraska and Florida. GOA secured victories in California, Illinois, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. Plus, they won 2 legal victories against the ATF zero tolerance policy. And GOA fought to overturn Joe Biden's ban on funding hunter education, shooting sports, and archery in schools. So with the constant attacks on our Second Amendment, we often ask ourselves, what can I do about it? This is what you can do. You can become a member at gunowners.org and help us save the Second Amendment. All right, so John, you talked about the California fires, how none of the houses are being rebuilt, and the people are like,
what do you do?
I don't know.
My house burned down. I'm stuck.
It's the same thing with COVID. There's no accountability. Like you said, there's no accountability to anybody who created those regulations that are preventing people from getting their homes back. Same thing with COVID. And there's no accountability for the people who pushed that so-called vaccine and caused health risks or even death to people. And now people are suffering the consequences, and there's no recourse.
No recourse.
Same with gun laws. You create a gun-free zone, let's say the gun-free school zone, and someone's child gets killed. Okay, what recourse do you have? Can you sue the government for that law?
I don't know, can you?
I sure hope somebody would.
Well, maybe people should. I mean, it's sad to think that it's got to go that far before somebody does something about that kind of stuff.
Well, it probably hasn't happened because nobody is bringing this idea to the surface, that it's the gun-free school zone that caused the problem.
Yep.
and nobody's talking about it. So people, I believe people even, God, so God forbid this happens to anybody, but even the people who do lose loved ones, I don't think they even are able to recognize that it could quite possibly be the Gun-Free School Zones Act or just the policy in place by that school that actually contributed to the death of their family member.
See, I think we should be able to create AI video scenarios of, okay, here's your kid in a gun-free zone. Here comes a shooter. Here's your kid in a non-gun-free zone. Here comes a shooter. What are the possible scenarios of all those different situations? If somebody has a firearm, or if some other, some other things were in place that would let these people have a chance of getting away or defending themselves against a potential shooter or a potential who knows who. Could be a guy with a knife, same thing, run around a school.
Well, that concept is actually partially in view, because what you're talking about is a person being able to, to defend the kids, right? Let's say it's a teacher.
Right.
Well, that's partially in view. They partially understand that because what's the first person they call? They call the cops to come with guns.
15 minutes later, they show up. Maybe. And then they might do something to help, It's really, it's so inhumane.
But they understand. They understand that you need another gun there.
Right. It's just they don't want it there first because they figure that's a bad thing. Even though if you had it there first, it would act as a deterrent as opposed to something that might happen. If I'm a person who's looking to commit a crime, am I going to say, I might go in there and get confronted by somebody with a firearm, or I have 15 minutes to do whatever I want because nobody's going to be there.
Right.
Exactly. Gee, I don't know. And now, that really, it has to be a certain kind of naivete that lets people not be able to put that scenario in their head. This is what I say so often to people. I just make it personal. What would happen? You're here. This is happening. What do you want to be able to do?
Right.
What would you like to be the situation there? And let's just put yourself in that. Here comes a guy with a knife only. Okay, what do you do? Get your 9-iron? Probably not carrying your golf clubs with you, so that's not going to help. So you need some kind of way to get away from this person, or at least save yourself from this person.
Well, this whole dispute over the gun-free school zone, I'm doing a series of videos for Good Gun Bad Guy, so people want to check these out. I'm talking about that. I'm doing a kind of a scenario, almost exactly what you're talking about. Give the scenario of the situation. And if people want to go to my Good Gun Bad Guy YouTube, you'll be able to see that. But yeah, the 9-iron. This is it's like the people who push for these gun control laws. I used to talk about a scenario where a guy everyone's Christmas shopping in the mall, right? Everyone's got their packages, drinking their Starbucks, and walking through the mall, and everybody's happy. All of a sudden, a Middle Eastern terrorist comes in and he starts shooting the place up, and the anti-gun people, they're completely defenseless. But there's a guy in the mall who has a gun on him, and he's trained, and he understands how to protect himself and other people, and he dodges behind a wall. While the anti-gunner is laying face down, begging for their life, the good guy takes the terrorist out from around the corner.
Yep.
What if he wasn't there? It's like if you can run these scenarios, and I like the way you talked about that, the scenarios. If you can show people scenarios, maybe we should do little mini movies or something.
Yeah, maybe that'd be a good thing to get into this year. See if we can create little simulations and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Because, seeing it, even if it's only like lines of fire and whatever and how many people are hurt in the process, you put some numbers on some stuff, I think it makes it a lot easier for people to say, okay, well, maybe we should look at that, instead of just ignoring it and thinking that if you think that way, you're a bad person. You must like guns if you think that everybody should have guns. And I'm like, you have a car. Yeah. I don't know. What are you talking about?
I don't particularly like guns in a passionate way like they are imagining. I mean, I don't understand what they're saying when you're gun lovers and all this stuff. Like, we're not making out with our guns.
You had yours on the dinner table at Christmas Eve, though. It was laying right there.
I did not.
Safety off. Saw it.
I did not.
Trying to keep your family in line.
Well, that's the thing. I think that they think that there's some romantic infatuation with
so stupid because they're emotional idiots. That's why that they think everything is all fueled by all this uncontrollable stuff. It's like, okay, well then stay out of it. Don't tell me I can't do something. I'm not. I think it's like that in any discipline in life. Some people are good at doing certain things and other people aren't. The people that aren't, just stay out of it, let the other people do it. But this is almost comes into a class envy kind of a categorization too, like, oh, he's a billionaire, he's got to be a bad guy. Well, wait a minute. He figured out how to do it. And the All-In podcast yesterday was so great on this. It's just like, no. If you can make money doing things and create value along the way, that's a good thing. And if you look at the gun situation, having people be able to defend their lives against their lives ending is value. I don't think anybody looks at it like that. Like it's actually has a value, because they dehumanize it and they just go with the narrative and they don't make it personal. And it happens all the time.
Right. And that's it. And that's because it's because of the narrative, like you said, that there is this overall assumption and narrative around guns. And it's taken decades to really cultivate it.
But they're brainwashed. I mean, we're all brainwashed in some way or another. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But if you keep pounding people for generations with certain things, it's going to become part of the normal lexicon, and that's what they think is normal. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it useful or productive.
Yeah.
Well, we've done the same thing with the welfare state. And, it's like people think, we have to be nice to everybody and do everything. Look what you're created, 60 years later, what have you created? You've created all this chaos that we have no way to get ourselves out of. And that leads to all kinds of corruption and fraud. And, oh, my God, it's just a big snowball.
And another thing about the welfare, just to sidetrack just a little bit, the welfare system, which is really something that annoys the hell out of me, is that not only is there an abuse, there's an entitlement to it. So now over 3 or 4 generations, we've not only developed a dependency on welfare, we've developed in these people an entitlement to it. They they're owed. It's a complete loss of sense of reality. No, you have other people, other fellow citizens who are working and earning money so you can buy those freaking ho-hos.
Right. Ho-ho. Ho-ho-ho.
The ho-hos. And they feel entitled to it.
And how do you talk them out of that?
I don't know.
If it's generational, how do you talk them out of it? I mean, I see so much of that in people that I know. It's like they've been in certain situations for so long that they don't see any other situation. I mean, we all create our own bubbles that we're in. But I mean, I find my way out of that by listening to, well, again, a lot of podcasts, which I think a lot of people have a lot of folks that I know that I interact with on social media discount. Oh, you listen to podcasts. That's where all the information is. Yeah. That's where all the new information is. You're not going to find the new information in the New York Times because it leaks out. That's why a lot of it got banned during COVID and stuff, because that stuff leaked out. It's basically, well, we can't have anybody knowing about this kind of thing. This might cause problems, even though, for all we know, we find out 3-4 years later that a lot of it was true. I just watched Joe Rogan the other day, 2 Joe Rogans talking about with Brent Weinstein about, the whole COVID vaccine, the whole mRNA platform, and how all these crazy things are happening that nobody foresaw because it wasn't tested. And it's like, what do you do now? You got people defending that, and it's like, what are you defending? Let's just talk about this and figure out what's going on. So many people are afraid to talk about it. They don't want to hear anything new. They don't want to hear somebody present a hypothesis the way normal science works. Okay, here's a hypothesis. Let's test this, and figure out what's happening so we can develop a theory on what's happening here. And then we can maybe put together some ideas on how to stop the bad things from happening and let the good things happen. But that process is short-circuited.
Well, it's short-circuited because if if they were to find a solution to make the situation better, it disincentivizes most of the time people on the political left.
Disincentivizes the narrative. That's what
it does, right? Because it doesn't benefit them,
right?
Because what's happening, I think, is the political left really is benefiting on I don't want to go so far as to say the destruction of America, but they benefit on the downsides,
right,
of all these things.
They benefit from making people dependent. It's what kind of how is that humane? That's inhumane. Let's teach people to be victims, and then everything will be better. What rule book does that come out of? I don't know. What philosophy teaches that as a success mechanism? It doesn't make any sense.
So if they benefit off the downsides, but they have a narrative that tells their voters that they're morally and intellectually superior if they support this position.
Absolutely. That's the thing. The moral superiority is the big thing, because now, hey, I'm a better person than you because I'm subscribing to this narrative, and everybody agrees that this narrative is the right thing. It's brainwashing.
Yeah, and you have the popular table component there, I believe, too.
Sure.
You want to be on the winning team, the popular side or whatever, and the Democrats position themselves and their policies as the popular table. Right. And they've got the media at least they've had the media for decades to do that, to be able to do that.
The podcasts are short-circuiting all this, and they don't like that. It's where they want people banned. Hate speech, blah, blah, this, that, everything else. What are you afraid of? Yeah. Afraid of that person talking over there?
Well, they're afraid of people. They're afraid of the vast majority of Americans coming to the realization that they've been lied to. And
that's the hardest thing to say. Okay, you're right. I was lied. I fell for it.
Right. That's hard for people to do.
Scott Adams was just going over that yesterday, saying, he goes, if you can't admit that you're wrong about things, and this is a common theme running around this week on a whole bunch of podcasts. If you can't admit that you're wrong, then you're not in the game. You're really not playing the real game. You're doing something else.
It's exactly how I got into the Second Amendment game. Is I had to admit, I had a life situation where I finally admitted that being unarmed and defenseless was not a good position to be in.
And that was a personal situation, right? That made this could have happened right here. You could feel it in your body, right? When it happens.
But a big part of the transition was me really sitting down with myself and admitting that I was wrong about some of my views. Completely changed me. Yep. But not everybody can do that. I was able to admit when I was wrong, and some people can't do that because I don't know why.
And the big danger of that is how it's manifested itself in recent times, is that the scientific community can't admit that it's wrong about anything. The COVID situation is a perfect things happened during those 4 years or so. It was insane. So if you can't put them out on the table and say, okay, let's look at this objectively and figure out what worked, what didn't work, the things that didn't work, how did we get there? How did we get to the point where the things that don't work objectively became part of the normal consensus for people in the United States or around the world during a time of crisis? And what were the outcomes of that? How many things got messed up because of all the stupid crap that happened during COVID? Just the school kids not going to school, and I didn't have any work for 2 years. What's going on?
People went broke. Small businesses got shut down. And all for this narrative so the pharmaceutical companies could bring these so-called vaccines to the marketplace.
I mean, it's sad to think that that's the case. But I think the larger picture is they needed a way to introduce the mRNA platform as a basis of treating a lot of stuff, which now I'm not saying down the line it might not be a good thing, because for cancer and stuff, I think that's probably a mechanism that's going to prove itself to be useful in certain situations. But to do that and use the population of the world that's guinea pigs, that's pretty freaking sinister, right?
But then to go one step further, like you're saying, I mean, shutting down businesses in the process,
choice.
There was no need for that. There was no need for that. There was no need. You could introduce the mRNA platform if it's a good thing or whatever. You can introduce that to society in a much more productive way than they did.
Like test it.
Yeah,
that would be a good way to tell you what's going on.
Take the years to do it. So that's why people get so conspiratorial about it because they wonder why they didn't do that. Is there an ulterior motive? Was it did they not want to test it because they knew that it wouldn't be good?
Well, they didn't have time. I mean, this is again, the appeal to emotion. Oh, it's an emergency. Oh my God, people are on ventilators, they're dying. Remember when in New York State, we don't have enough ventilators.
Yeah.
Is it Cuomo? Oh, people are going to die because we don't have enough ventilators. The thing of it is, every single person you put on a ventilator died.
Yeah.
Don't put them on a ventilator.
Even President Trump was pushing the ventilators. He was proud of the fact that we built so many of them. We made so many.
And they didn't know any better. You know what I mean? I understand
I agree.
that. But you got to be able to objectively look at it and say, look, we didn't know any better. Let's not do that again because that's really messed up. People are still pushing stuff now. I still see ads on TV for booster shots and stuff. What are you, nuts? For kids? Oh, get the flu shot. Get this, get that. Somebody yesterday, a young person was posted on social media and said, oh, I got my flu shot today. I'm like, what are you, like 30? What, are you out of your mind? Why would you get a flu shot? Oh, man. Ugh.
I think we're probably coming up on break. Danny? Yeah,
the timing,
there's the music.
Your internal clock.
That's my internal clock. Okay, so we got more. We're going to talk about successes for the Second Amendment. We're going to talk about Kathy Hochul and a lot more. So stick around right after the short break. We'll be right back.
The Cali Key removes your AR from the definition of an assault weapon. It lets you keep your rifle with all its features, avoid registration hassles, and transport in hostile jurisdictions. The Cali Key also lets you hunt in jurisdictions like Pennsylvania and enhances long-range precision shooting. Cali Key's expert legal opinions empower informed decisions, and sales help grassroots Second Amendment organizations. Cali Key is your tool to keep and equip your AR, empower yourself, and defend your civil rights.
Our founding fathers saw them coming over 200 years away. That's why they wrote the Second Amendment. Join us in the fight to preserve your gun rights and stop unconstitutional gun control. Gun Owners of America is the country's only no-compromise gun rights organization. Not only do we inform and educate, but we bring the fight to court and win. Your God-given right to keep and bear arms is our top priority. Become a member today and help us take back America. Join us at gunowners.org.
All right, so we talked a lot about the self-defense, about the ability of being able to protect yourself.
It's got to be something good that happened, right?
There's something good, actually. In the fight for Second Amendment rights through the year 2025, there were some major successes by Gun Owners of America. I don't know if anybody has these. I think you can get these GOA cups here online. Anyway, I think they're pretty cool. I liked it. So, Gun Owners of America. Now, obviously, we're big fans of the organization, members, and we absolutely love Gun Owners of America. So, GOA had, over the course of 2025, they're talking about the 8 biggest successes that the organization had with respect to Second Amendment wins in court. So let me go through them here because I think you're going to find them pretty interesting. They said in an email that this year has delivered some of the most significant Second Amendment victories in recent memory, with the Gun Owners Foundation pressing the fight in courtrooms across the country. Because freedom-minded Americans stepped up to support the mission, GOF secured 8 major legal wins defending the right to keep and bear arms. So with the year quickly coming to a close, which actually this already has, people can also donate to Gun Owners a foundation too. If you go to the websites, there's gunowners.org and gunowners.com. You can go to those websites. Anyway, the first of the 8 successes was coast to coast carry. GOF prevailed in key lawsuits in both New York and California, ending discriminatory denials of non-resident concealed carry permits. Together, these victories allowed GOF members to lawfully carry from one coast to the other. So GOF members can carry without the restrictions of the
All across the country?
State, yeah.
Just in New York and California?
This particular case was focused on New York and California. So, but huge success, because now what they're doing is they're forcing New York and California to accept
Right.
the carry permits.
Well, those are two sticking points, right? New York and California.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a great thing. Number 2 was a huge constitutional carry victory. GOF successfully challenged Tennessee's going arms statute, effectively making the state constitutional carry. So this is pretty interesting, which means constitutional carry means no permit needed. Now, while the state's Republican Attorney General has appealed the case, it puts us on the brink of a lasting expansion of freedom in 2026 while the state Republican Attorney General has appealed. Okay. GOF number 3 is bypassing the NICS system. Now, the NICS is the federal background check system, which everybody hates because it's a registry, basically. GOF compelled the ATF to reinstate the Brady alternative status for carry permit holders in states such as Michigan and Alabama. Law-abiding citizens can once again bypass redundant NICS checks, pushing back against registration-style gun control. Number 4, GOF ends the DOJ zero-tolerance assault on gun dealers. This is one thing that really annoyed the hell out of me. GOF litigation forced the Department of Justice to abandon the Biden-era zero-tolerance rule that punished honest gun dealers for minor clerical errors. They can make a little mistake and lose their license to sell. This victory safeguards FFLs across the country, preserving competition, access, and consumer choice for law-abiding Americans. All right, number 5. The red flag scheme declared illegal. GOF shut down an aggressive gun control push in Memphis, Tennessee. The court ruled the city's carry ban and red flag ordinance unlawful, memorably calling the effort dead as a doornail. That's pretty awesome too. So Memphis, Tennessee. See, and the good thing about these cases is that once there's a win, a precedent in the courts, you can start moving that precedent around and hopefully enacting the same thing in other states. Number 7, Florida's open carry ban was overturned. This was a big thing in Florida. It's like people are flipping out if somebody was open carry. Open carry is protected by the Second Amendment and confirmed it will no longer enforce its ban. This long overdue victory restores a fundamental liberty for Floridians. Now, I should clarify, I'm pretty sure the open carry was allowed under the statute if I think it was hunting or fishing. So some guys were going fishing and they were just carrying a gun because they could. They were legally able to do that, and people were flipping out. So, yeah.
They're going out there to shoot somebody? What were they doing?
I don't know. So, but now they can just open carry.
So if you're going fishing, you don't know what you're going to run into, right?
Well,
Could be
I suppose
coyotes coming after you or something.
Hey, even if they were just trying to make the point,
right?
They were legally able to do it.
Right.
So, I think some people maybe use that opportunity to make the point, and I don't blame them for that. You know, I don't think we should have to worry about. I don't think we should have to worry about offending people.
Well, again, the whole idea of this is to be able to protect yourself if the need arises. And you never know when the need is going to arise. So limiting that ability that's where the infringement comes in, right? That's what it is. But why would you want to stop a law-abiding citizen from having the opportunity to protect himself if he wants to protect himself?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, well, there's something else going on there, obviously. There's a narrative or something running in the background.
Of course.
Makes them feel morally superior to say, oh, I'm against this, I'm against this.
A lot of it might be protecting the libs and their hurt feelings because they're scared if they see a gun in public.
It's just so,
Let me get to number 8 and we can talk about this. Yep. So number 8, the 8th success that GOA was able to accomplish, Missouri County forced to repeal the youth handgun ban. So GOF sued Jackson County, Missouri for violating state preemption by banning handgun purchases for 18 to 20-year-olds. The county was forced to reverse course and remove the unconstitutional provisions. So Right. You can be 18. If you're 18, you can vote. You can, you can go to be tried as an adult. You can go to war. You can do all this stuff, but we don't want you carrying a gun
Or drinking.
Yeah. Or drinking too. Right. Yeah.
See how well that's worked out.
They're stupid. I know.
It is stupid.
People are stupid. But anyway, so I just wanted to talk about those great successes for gun owners of America.
Well, that's good. And like you say, because they become precedences, then you can use them for other things ongoing. And that's how it's supposed to work, right? That's why it's important to fund all these places, right? Because they have to spend money doing all this stuff. The lawyers aren't working for nothing.
And the state groups, groups like we're talking about Florida Carry. In Alabama, we have Bama Carry. We have the Virginia Citizens Defense League. Every state has a state gun rights group, and you should at least support the one that of your state,
right?
And then pick at least one national group. With all of those funds coming into these groups, it gives them tons of money to go and battle these laws. We shouldn't have to, of course, but that's the reality we live in, and we have to go to court. What are you gonna do? Just let them run roughshod over everybody? So that's some good news. Let me get to our sponsor real quick. The Cali Key. Now, this device, the Cali Key, removes your AR from the definition of assault weapon. Did you know that when so-called assault weapon ban lists are created, they exclude manually operated bolt-action firearms? So just by dropping the Cali Key into your direct impingement AR in place of your semi-automatic BCG, you'll have a bolt-action rifle that falls outside the definition of an assault weapon. You don't need to do anything else. So give the Cali Key a look, because with it, you could retain all your rifle's features, avoid registration complications, revive your black rifle sales if you're an FFL, regain the ability to do private party transfers, legally transport across hostile jurisdictions, hunt with your AR in areas like Pennsylvania, enhance long-range precision and quiet or suppressed shooting. Cali Key has state-specific expert attorney opinions on its website and supports grassroots Second Amendment organizations with its sales. Cali Key's mission is to empower customers and claw back our civil liberties. So go to calikey.com and use the discount code LOADED. Okay, so, John, we covered a lot today. We covered defensive gun uses. We talked about the narrative. We talked about the intent of the left wing to restrict everybody's gun rights. And then we talked about actual successes where we've defeated them. What are your comments? Enlighten everybody on what
we didn't talk about women.
Well, we could. You want to talk about women?
Well, I'm just wondering what now. So hopefully, moving forward, like the next year, do we know of any in progress things as far as legally that's going on?
Yeah. So right now, the two things that I really want to see happen is concealed carry reciprocity. So it's the HR 38 bill. So that our handgun permits can be used in every state. It just makes it so much easier for everybody, and we don't turn into criminals by crossing the state line.
Right.
So that, to me, that's
well, that's a federal issue. It should be federally mandated one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's got to be, because it encompasses all the states.
Right.
So that's
and hopefully they get that straightened out with marijuana as well.
Well, that's another
Trump's
thing.
Trying to put that like this is, instead of having it be piecemeal. Of course, sometimes the governors don't pay attention to what they say anyway. But
I'd like to see a repeal of red flag laws, number one,
Absolutely.
because it's confiscation without due process. I would like to see the NFA, how they still right now make you register your firearms, certain firearms, short barrels and suppressors and stuff. I'd like to see that go away, because we've already got rid of the tax, which was a success. I'd like to see, like you're talking about, now I'm not a pot smoker, so I could care less about pot, but I don't want people who smoke pot or need to use pot to be denied their Second Amendment rights.
Well, that's the thing they're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's not heroin, It's just.
Right.
But there's a couple other things that I thought of this week that I can't remember, put my finger on, but there were parallels along the lines of that. Like, let's classify this the same as this when they're nowhere near the same thing.
Right.
You know, it just doesn't make any sense.
I have a, as far as pot goes, like I said, I don't like it, but some people do. And some people, it actually helps them, helps them health-wise.
Met a friend of mine last night who had back surgery a year and a half ago, and it's the only thing that helps him with his pain. Only thing that works. He's tried all kinds of drugs, which are addictive, all the Oxycontins and all that kind of stuff that, kill the pain, but then turn you into a freaking zombie, and then you're addicted. That's how people become heroin addicts. People with back injuries become heroin addicts so often because they're addicted to the pain.
What is it called?
Hydrocodone and stuff, So for that reason, again, I don't have any problem with anybody. As long as people aren't running around being crazy and hurting other people, we shouldn't care what they're doing, right? That's the whole idea of a free country.
And if they do, we don't blame the substance. We don't blame the gun. You blame the person. You hold a person accountable.
Well, see, now that's a good theme, too, that we talked about before with things like, generational dependency on government. For whatever reason, it short circuits that whole personal accountability thing. So people are running around thinking, well, it's not my fault this is happening. It's got to be somebody else's fault. Pretty crazy way to run a country, in my opinion.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, anyway, those are the things you asked. Some of the things that the Second Amendment community is working on. Those are the things that I would like to see. There's more. There's a lot of court cases. There's going to be stuff in New York, California, and Hawaii with the vampire rule and all that stuff. There's all sorts of stuff going on.
So what is HOCHUL ignoring recently?
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up.
I was just thinking about her. I love her.
Ready to talk about that anyway. So are you talking about the no tax on tips?
Well, yeah, that's what.
Okay. So here's an article from our friends at New York Post. HOCHUL hasn't served up Trump's no tax on tips policy, ticking off New York restaurant workers. Governor Kathy Hochul and the Democrat New York lawmakers have not extended President Trump's no tax tips policy, no tax on tips. Like, why wouldn't you do that? Like, what is it?
Who's it hurting? Right. Not hurting anybody.
It's just to go against Trump. I'm kind of glad she's doing it because I don't think it's going to be good for her when it comes time to get votes.
We know now that whole election's up in arms too, right? Because
I wish
Elise
Elise
dropped out. Well, but we'll find out what happens.
She was doing so good. It's like, man, we really needed her, and she backed out.
Well, because the other guy, Blakesley, whatever his name is, Eric Blakeman, got involved, and I mean, I don't think she wanted to be involved in a freaking year-long primary battle or however long that was going to be. People. I don't think a lot of people don't understand that when you're running for office like that and you have a family and everything, it's crazy the time it takes up. It's just crazy.
No, I'm sure of that. But I never thought that Elise would be the one to bail. I mean, she had a baby, and she remained very active, and she's still a congressional representative.
But she's not going to run again, right? So now they have to have the election for that. Is that in the midterm when she comes up?
I'm not sure. I
think it might be next year. This year.
I'll have to ask our friend Joe what's going on there.
Or our friend Anthony.
We should get Joe on the show, by the way, but that's another story.
I know.
Anyway, I hope he's listening. So anyway, this idea that HOCHUL's not going to extend that is hitting bartenders and restaurant workers in the pocketbook, all while preaching affordability. That's the thing Democrats always talk about. Affordability. We're the affordability candidate.
We're not telling you where the money comes from or where it's going, but it's going to be affordable.
The inaction galled Ryan Gallagher, 30 years old, a bartender at the Blasket, an Irish pub in Midtown, on Friday. Screw her, Gallagher said about HOCHUL. If we're taxed on our tips, we'd be able to. If we weren't taxed on our tips, we'd be able to save more. We'd enjoy life a little more. Maybe we wouldn't have to pick up that extra shift. The no tax on tips policy, along with a related deduction for overtime, was a key worker-friendly provision of Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, narrowly passed by Republicans this year. Treasury Department officials extended the federal tax break for nearly 70 jobs and professions. from taxi drivers to golf caddies, but not pornographic OnlyFans creators. But the obvious beneficiaries were food and beverage service workers who often depend on their tips. I thought the concept of a tip was kind of a side deal. This is just me expressing my gratitude for you.
Right.
This isn't part of your paycheck. This isn't part of anything. This is just a tip. It's a tip. It's something from me to you personally. That's what a tip is. How can the government get involved in that?
Well, first of all, people don't like it because it's a way to actually have people keep money in their pocket without getting it from the government.
Yeah.
Right. They're not, we're going to send you a check. HOCHUL's sending their checks out. Oh, here's your $200. Here's your $400. You know, instead you get money on a daily basis and keep it in your pocket and can actually use it for something because you know what's going on. But second of all, I think the whole idea, there's so many people that are against tipping in general, right? And they're against the concept of people working for tips. And I think something that's many times overlooked is that the people that are working for tips in a lot of situations, like restaurant workers, for instance, a lot of those people are family people who need a part-time job that they can make a certain amount of money at with limited hours expended at the job. Like a waitress might go in and work 2 or 3 nights a week and make more money than she could make working all day, 5 days a week at a different job. But in the process of that, she eliminates the need for childcare because she's home with her kid and she goes to work at night after the kid is home or in bed or there's another parent there to take care of it. But it's all that kind of stuff that, again, the people on the left don't seem to understand any of that. They all want it to fit in certain little boxes that all fit in their narrative. So everybody's doing the morally right thing and nobody's getting ahead of anybody else. It's such a weird, I don't know if it's jealousy or entitlement or what it is, but it's really a strange perspective on other people.
Well, I just hope that anybody who would have voted for Kathy Hochul to be reelected will look at this and say, maybe I'm on the wrong team here.
Exactly. Whose side is she on?
That's why I kind of say, you know, I'm glad she's doing this, not because I want the people to lose their, you know, benefit or whatever, but because I want the Democrat voters to see what a hack she really is and what a political monster she really is. So she doesn't care. She doesn't give a damn about her Democrat voters. She doesn't care about New York State. It's all, everything, all the decisions are to somehow benefit her legislature, and her reelection, I believe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of quotes here. I'm not going to read them all, but some people are saying for Hochul to do that, it's disheartening. It's upsetting, said I can't pronounce the name, who takes home $3 on an $8 gratuity. Oh, think about that. He takes home $3 for every $8 tip.
Well, that's a good deal. Where's he living?
God.
Russia? That's crazy.
I don't know. That sounds crazy. This one quote says, it's like losing money, so it's hard, especially when everything's so expensive in life right now. That's my livelihood. That's how I eat and feed my family. There's a whole bunch of these in this article. People can go read it at the New York Post. Is there a video? I think we have a video on this. Danny, can we play that video?
Most Americans who were paid in tips or paid overtime are going to get a break on their taxes this year. The Scrooges of several blue states are not extending that courtesy. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has been joined by blue Scrooges in other Democrat states in not extending President Trump's no tax on tips, on overtime, Social Security benefits, new car buyers, etc., on their state income taxes. All the while, they're preaching about affordability for the middle class. Joining us now is New York Congressman.
So there you have it. Now, it was interesting. I read in this article at the very end, I thought there was a quote from Hochul herself. A spokesperson for HOCHUL, I correct myself. A spokesperson, this is their response to this. A spokesperson for HOCHUL appeared to leave the door open to stop taxing tips and overtime. Quote, "We will continue finding ways to put money back in New Yorkers' pockets and will evaluate federal changes in the context of the upcoming budget, just like red and blue states across the country," a spokesperson said. So it's so funny how they literally block this thing, and then they say, but we're evaluating the federal changes and we're finding ways to put money back in people. You're not finding ways to put money back in people's pockets. You're finding ways to take money out of their pocket. They're such liars. Isn't it?
I think she needs to have like a Robin Hood outfit or something. Rob from the rich and give to the poor. But not really.
Yeah, yeah, but not really, because she's not doing, I mean, it's just so.
See, they must think that everything needs to be filtered through the government, and then all the good that comes back to you is coming from the government. It's such a twisted view of the whole thing.
And they believe that they can do whatever they want as long as they tell the media what they want people to believe. So in this case, Kathy Hochul and her band of gangsters over there in the Albany legislature, they're literally stopping this no tax on tips policy, potentially, putting people at a disadvantage. Their own voters, they're disadvantaged. But then they go to the media and they say, we will continue finding ways to put money back in New Yorkers' pockets. Because that's the crap that the voters are going to they're going to see that on CNN. Oh, well, she's working for us. She's not. She's not working for you. She's taking from you. She's saying she's working for you, but she's got her other hand in your pocket.
Well, that's why I always tip in cash. They can put the money in their pocket and not say anything.
I hope they do.
And they should.
Yeah, I hope they do. Anyway, great show. Thanks, John. Yep. And thank you for watching The Loaded Mic on Rumble, YouTube, and our new network, Spreely. Go to Spreely.com. Great network. And all podcast platforms you can find us on. My name is Dan Was, and the Second Amendment is not a privilege. It's your right.